over here throwing, man.
Yeah, that's everybody, nigga. My phone been blowing up like crazy, bro.
Yeah, bro, I do. But at the end of the day,
it get to a point I'm not even answering the calls. Nigga, like I'm
feel
doing
you,
them,
bro. But you never know, man. Them cats, man, they could have that jump, man.
Yeah. Cause some everybody I talk to, they still be around people. They don't care. They out and about. I can't have them coming to my crib like that, man.
I feel you, bro. You know, man.
Yeah, you don't know, yeah. And some people don't got no symptoms, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, my girlfriend, one of my girlfriends, who is it? I think her grandma has it.
Wow.
Oh, man.
Yeah, man. Like her whole family had to get tested and all this stuff, man. It's like crazy, man. Like, thank God none of them have it, but it's like one of those things where it's like, telling you, man, this thing is crazy, man.
Yeah.
Oh, she went to go see her grandma already or no?
Nah, she can't go over there.
Oh, I was gonna say you better test her at the door.
This dude.
He wild, bro.
Hey,
Somali had a double check.
Hey.
You went over there?
Hey.
Hey, so on here with this, you guys can see the chart, right?
Yeah.
So the yellow line, I drew a yellow line, and I got the arrows. This thing has been bouncing off 132,400. If you notice, going all the way back to over here, this was on the 23rd. Basically, it put in the low right here with this first arrow, April 22nd, which was Wednesday. So Wednesday, put in a low April at 3 o'clock London session. It came back down 9 o'clock the following, so April 23rd, the next day it came back down and it tapped 132,400, pretty much almost exact. The low was 132,402, and then you got a huge bounce all the way up for 1,200 pips. And actually, you can see right here, it tried to go down there again at 2 o'clock off 132,500. It bounced to 133. Came back down again, almost exactly to that level. April 24th at 4:30 in the morning. The low of this candle was 132.399. Then it bounced up again. Then you got the next one. It tapped right off 132,400 at 11:10 on April 24th, and then it did it again, which was Friday. That was 11 o'clock in the morning. Then it came and did it again at 1 o'clock, and then it bounced up. So from 132,400. So basically, these are like double bottom, triple bottoms, double bottoms, support. Basically, it tested, and you can even see it on the 30-minute chart. Basically, the wicks off these arrows that I was talking about. You got a tap and then a huge jump, a tap again and a huge jump, tap again off the 132,400, huge jump. So basically, right now it's kind of like consolidating between these the 132,400 area. You can look at the 4-hour chart and you can see how the candles are pretty much consolidating in the same area. So there's no direction right now. It's kind of hitting the range. It's ranging right now. So if it breaks out below 132, it's going to be a huge drop. And you can kind of see it when you zoom out. It'll try to test all the way probably down here where all these wicks are, 131, 130, 500, or 130. It all depends. If it goes to the upside, then it's probably going to try to tap up here, the 135 area, the 135, 500. So what I noticed this week, playing the bounces. So the thing is, the entry. So, and I know I talked to you guys about it before, but it's easier said than done. But the thing is that you want to be buying down at the bottom versus trying to buy at the top. So if you notice what happens, even I fall victim to this. So this is the thing that I noticed when I went back through the chart to look at all these trades. The thing is the entry. So if you missed say you missed this 132,400 at 9:30 in the morning, right? On April 23rd, you turn on your chart and you missed the 132,400. It came right back down there at 2 o'clock. So you still could have caught, this trade would have been 500 pips because it tapped 132.505 all the way back up to 133. And then it actually, so that would have gave you 500 pips, 5, 10, 50, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 40. About an hour trade, you would have made about 500 pips. So the fear of missing out, the issue is that, say you turned on your chart at, you know, say you turn on your chart at 9 o'clock in the morning or 9, we'll say 9:30, right? We'll say 9:30. You turn on your chart at 9:30, as soon as you turn it on, it's gonna bounce. It bounced up from 132,500 to 133.364. So you're talking like 850 pips. You missed that trade. Now you had a retest. You had an easy retest here off 133 that would have got you 600 pips. But if you're trying to, you know, that's actually a pretty good trade because you got a candle here that didn't fill a wick, and it's a momentum candle with no, notice how this candle doesn't have a wick at the bottom. There's no wick. It's a flat bottom on it, which means that the banks are in these trades. So if you would have caught the retest off 133, you could have caught 600 pips. But if you missed that trade, then your best entry and the cheapest entry, actually, when I say cheaper, is basically you want to buy low and sell high, is back down here where it bounced previously before, off 132,500 area or 132,400. So that's the thing. So you could have put an alert for 132,500. You would have to wait. I mean, you're talking from 10 o'clock in the morning to 2 o'clock, so 4 hours. But the thing is that you know it bounced from this level before, so that was an easy trade for a buy. If you missed that one, the next one came in the London session. So say you missed those two trades, you were busy, you were tied up, it came again, it gave you another opportunity to buy basically in the London session. But if you notice what happened from the first bounce here was for 1,200 pips. The second bounce was for 500, right? So it's basically, the first tap was huge. The second one was 500 pips, which is still not bad. The third wave was actually, if you notice, this one took a little longer. It was about 500 pips, but chances are you probably would have closed the trade once it came all the way back down here, because you're like, oh, like, you know what I mean? I was just up 200 pips, and I'm only up 100. You might close it. But if you held it, you would have got 500. The last wave was pretty much right about the same, right? If you would have held it here, if you would have got in here. But if you notice, this 5 o'clock this candle right here is the 5 o'clock candle today that opened. So as soon as it opened, it bounced up again, and it basically did a retest on this zone. So if you draw a zone across and this is the 5-minute chart, by the way, if you draw a zone across, it basically tried to put in another high, and it rejected, and now it's back down again. So it's probably going to come back down, chances are, and retest the 132,500 or 132,400, and then like make a decision. So, but that's the thing, and I think for me, its biggest thing is trying to make sure that you got this, that you're getting in at the right level. So a lot of my trades that I took were off 133, like an even number, but the reality is the bounce actually started down below, right? So perfect example, if you notice right here, this is 132 even, right? 132 even. So once it came down to 132 even, you even had a buy signal here off of the divergence indicator at 8:50 in the morning. bullish pin bar, bearish pin bar, bullish pin bar, and then you got a bounce. So from 132 went up all the way to 132, set 800. So that's actually an 800 pip trade, right? So if you would have got in the next time it came to so say you thought, okay, hey, it's gonna come back down and test 132,500, which I don't know why my number is off here. Let me see if I can adjust it. Hold on real quick. This black line is off. No, it's actually accurate. Where's that? 46. Oh, okay. No, it's moving. So yeah, so basically, if you try to get in here off 132,500, because you know, like, oh, it's the retest. The reality is you would have lost on this trade because it dropped, right? It dropped back down. So the best case scenario would have been for you to buy low and sell high. So the next time it came back down, so if you think about it, this was 9 o'clock roughly in the morning. The next time it came back was 12, so 3 hours. So you had to wait 3 hours, but you know that this is basically the buy area, right? It's the buy zone. So if you waited and you saw a zone form right here, and look what happens again. No wick at the bottom, and then it pushed up back above 132. So you would have bought around 131.924 area because it bounced there before, and then you would have held it. This trade would have you could have got an easy 500 pips just by waiting. So that's the thing, you know what I mean? So then you also see the rejection. So remember before when I was telling you guys, when price, it pretty much sits, it closes right below the level. So if you notice, this is 132.790, the blue line. Notice how this green candle closes right below 132.790, pretty much exact. So I put my cursor on it. It closed at 132.782. So I mean, it's pretty much right there, right? Then you got the black candle that shows you and it's an engulfing candle because the body is longer than the green candle and engulfs the green candle. So that's telling you that it's gonna drop. So if it came back up again, you wait for exhaustion. This is a bearish pin bar right here. You take the trade. Your stop loss could have been 25, 30 pips. You're talking an 800 pip trade. 5, 10, 15, 20, 20. In 30 minutes, you would have made 800 pips. Close it out, and then you would be looking for buys going back the other way. That was 500 pips. So any questions on that?
Nah.
Yeah, man. So I think it's pretty basic, but to be honest, the thing is, and this thing you got to realize, right? You got to be candid with yourself. Like it's not the market. You're not trading against the market. You actually trade against yourself because can you have the patience to wait? Because you know what happens is you like I said, if you would have turned on the chart on this trade and you know 5 or 10 minutes later, this one right here, if you'd have turned on the chart at 10 o'clock, you're gonna be pissed because you missed this almost 1,000 pip move. You know what I mean? Like 10, 15 minutes earlier. So you're gonna be pissed off. So you're gonna try to get in. Now here's the thing. If you chase candles, so like this candle, okay, boom, it has a flat bottom, but remember the market always is gonna move in waves. So it's gonna do almost like an N pattern. You're looking for an N, like the letter N. So, and that's the thing. So if I look here, let me do it right here. So like the letter N, right? So if you draw it up, then you come back and you hit it again. It's gonna come down, and then it's gonna go up higher. So with that being said, you gotta wait for the retest. Yeah. So if you notice right here, right? Price shot up, came back down, Let me draw it right here. So price shot up here, came down, right? And then it actually shot up again. Letter A.
Yeah.
So the issue is that that's where, and I like I said, I'm telling you guys, this is like, it looks easy because, you know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, it's an in pattern. The problem is your freaking emotion, because you see the bounce, you get excited. But then if you're buying up here, so if you're buying at 133, 400, guess what? In 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes, you're down 400 pips because you didn't wait for the retest. So you would have bought on, in this case, you would have bought off 133, right? And then boom, it shot up again. So you would have made 658 pips in 5, 10, 15 minutes. You would have made 658 pips. 15-minute trade. So you gotta wait for the retest. And the thing is, the crazy part is, when you look at this, it's basically this right here. Remember I was telling you guys, notice how, oh, I took this off 500, hold on. That's where price, we don't even need that one anymore. Notice how right here, price set right on 130, 133, right? So it's set right on 133, and then it bounced. So if you notice, remember I was telling you guys before, you're looking for support, right? So it sat, this candle, notice how this candle sat right on 133. This candle right here was right on 133. All of these candles pretty much sat right on 133, pretty much telling you that there's going to be a bounce because that's where support was, right? So, and the thing is, 10 o'clock, if you notice where my cursor is, the time it says 10 a.m., that's the London closing time. So typically within that, and I know I talked about it before in another webinar, typically between 10 and 11, there's always going to be a London push, either up to the upside or downside. There's momentum already in the market. You were looking for a wick fill off of this candle, right? Because there's a wick, it's a momentum candle. This candle is actually 400 plus pips in 5 minutes, right? So it means that the market's in momentum. So you got to wait for it to come back down and retest. Then you buy down here because you know your risk reward is actually greater, right? Because it's like, oh, hey, if I get a wick fill, I'm going to make at least 400 pips on this trade. Because the high of this candle was 133.410, right? It came back down and it retested 133. So you know that, hey, I'm buying down here. I'm looking for a 400 pip trade. Once it taps 133.500, I'm out. And look what happens. It pretty much, it went above 133.500. It played around, right? You can tell that the market respects these levels because look how the market just played around, right? Pretty much tapping 133.500, and then it exhausted down and then dropped. So you got to look for the end pattern, right? That's what you're looking for in a bullish. When the market's bullish, you always want to wait for the retest. If you notice, so if you notice here, off of these levels, and remember W pattern. We talked about the W pattern before and all that stuff. The market's gonna move in waves, right? It never moves in a straight line. So that's the biggest thing to remember. And you always want to try to, when you're looking for buys, you want to buy it at the lowest level you can possibly get in at. So looking at the market, you're just going to scroll back less and find out what's the cheapest level that price respected and form support at. That's the biggest thing, right? So when I drew the arrows, that's pretty much what it was. Hold on one second. This thing is like, yeah, so just basically looking back, right? So look, you guys can see where my cursor is 132.400. So this is look, it tapped it here, it came over here, it tapped it again, came here, tapped it again, pretty much tapped it again, right? So that's where you will be looking to buy. You're not going to look to buy up here because you see a breakout. See, because look what happened. If you'd have bought at 133, you already think about it, right? If you're trying to buy at 133 because you saw this candle broke out, the reality is that you're 600, you're going to be 600 plus pips away from the buy zone. You know what I mean? So think about it. Your stop loss would have to be 600 pips. You could be right on the trade, right? That it's going to go higher. But the problem is that your stop loss technically has to be back down here where the support was formed. Because if you notice, it bounced right off 400 and it did it multiple times. So you got to keep that in mind. And that's something that even for me, like I'm telling you guys, it's easier said than done because you have to keep that in mind because guess what's going to happen? You're going to look at it and you're going to say, there's no way that they're going to drop it down 600 pips and then bring it back up again. Right? If you think about it, mentally, you're going to be like, oh, it's no way. You know what I mean? Oh, it's no way that they're going to bring it down 600 pips and then bring it back up again. But look, that's what they did. So they brought it up here at 4:30 in the morning, at 11 o'clock, right? Well, you had the first tap at 9:55. That trade would have got you 230 pips, which is still not bad at all, right? Right off 132,500. And then if you notice down here, it pretty much tapped 400 again, 132,400, and then it bounced up again. You would have got the 400 pips plus, off the 400 level, 680 pips roughly. So that's the thing. They want you to think that they're not going to bring it back down. You know what I mean? For you to get it. But remember, the market's always going to retest the lows. So since this is a low, right? If you notice here, this is during the London session at 4 o'clock in the morning. So what happens is, remember what I was telling you guys, during the US session, it's typically always going to retest the London low or high of the day. So this was the low, right, of the London session at 4:30. Then you come over here, 11 o'clock is US session. What did it do? It bounced right off of 132,400. You just had to wait. And that's the thing, it's trickery, right? So if you notice, and I'll go to the 30-minute chart, and this is what I'm saying, right? So look, this was at 5 o'clock in the morning, right? 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm sorry, 4 to 5 o'clock in the morning on the 30-minute chart. And then boom, it came back down. So you would have to wait. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You would have had to wait 8 hours, but you got your entry. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hold on. Somebody else is trying to hop on. Oh, that's it, Siobhan. Oh, I guess I don't know what happened. The thing went away. So that's pretty much what it is. So that's what I wanted to cover today with you guys, as far as, you know what I mean, waiting for the retest, right? So if you can spot resistance or support, and we'll look at some sells, and honestly, the sells, it's the same strategy, right? So if the market puts in a high for the day, it's going to go back and try to retest that high. So if it puts in a high, perfect example, right? And we'll just kind of show it right here. So 7 o'clock on Friday, right? During the US session, this was actually the high of the day right here. Let me take this off. So this error right here, this was actually the high of the day. Because if you notice, during the US session, 7 o'clock, right? The market opens at 8. It never went higher than that point right here, right? During the US session. So with that being said, that's the area that's going to try to be retested, right? For price to move higher, and get momentum, it has to break above that level. So going forward, even today, tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, whatever, right? It's gonna have to break that level to continue higher. That's just the way that it is, right? So this is the thing. What happens today? This is this candle right here. Hold on one second. Hold on. Siobhan, what's going on?
Hey man, sorry about that, man. I got off and I was trying to lay here until it started, man. I was sleeping.
Hey, I don't want to hear nothing about it. They work everything out. Oh, they care
Yeah,
about
man. I called myself was gonna lay here after I got off, just until it was time to get on, man. Shoot, I just woke up again.
Yeah, no, that's all good, man.
Yeah. How's everybody?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even know if they heard you. But well, what I was saying real quick, this was the high, right? This first area right here was the high of Friday, right? That's the high. The high of that candle was 133.156. What happens today? This is the 5 o'clock candle today. It tried to go up and retest the high from Friday, and it rejected. So if you notice, you got a long wick, then you got a bearish pin bar right off of 133, which tells you that price is going to drop. And you notice right now, that's what price is doing, right? It's dropping from 9. So that was a sell. Now, if you're looking for buys, logically, where would you buy at, right? 133, 400 because, or 500 actually, because that's the last area that it. But if you notice, hold on one second. Okay. You got the what? That's why I wanted you to buy at Walmart. Oh, and this is a smaller one. Walmart has the bigger one for cheaper. What? 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 I'm on a call. All right, sorry about that. You guys can hear me?
Yeah.
You getting your grocery
Yeah.
delivery, John?
No, man, this chick wild, man. She got other stuff in the car. I'm on a call. Man,
That
you gotta
nigga
act
will
right.
help, nigga. That
You gotta
man.
act right, nigga.
He said, I ain't beat.
Yo, man, act right.
Hey.
Man, tighten up.
Get it together.
Hey, you know what I mean? She trying to, hey.
Hey, that man come help.
Yeah, man. But hopefully, yeah, I'll be off that thing. I don't know what else she bought. But yeah, but that's pretty much that's the thing, right? So for the bearish one, for the rejection, you can see the same thing even right here, right? So if you come over here, let me take this line off. So you notice how price on this particular candle, this was 9:30 in the morning. It closed right below 133.790. And my settings off a little bit. Just gotta change it back to 90. Right? And then you got a bearish pin bar that pretty much closed right below it as well, right? So that's telling you that it's gonna reject. When you look to the left here, you got a huge anchor candle So you got a high percentage chance that it's going to drop. And what happens on the next candle? It pretty much taps 132,790 and it dropped. This trade was 730 pips in 30 minutes. Like right off the level. So here's the thing, right? When you talk about the retest, so you guys want me to send you another link? Because this one's about to run out.
Yeah, it don't matter.
I'm gonna try to stay woke for it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, it's up to y'all because I'm gonna post this one on here, but you guys let me know. I know
It's up
Joseph
to
said he
you.
don't
That's
know about
up to
it.
you.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you guys a link real quick.
I'm trying to get out of going to get them groceries out of that car. Try to send a late.
Nah, it's all good.
All
Yeah,
right.
I'm gonna send it. Hold on 1 second. All right, I'll send it right now.
All right.
All right.